Hello, I'm Keith Baker, Artistic Director of Bristol Riverside Theatre. Welcome to our set of Neil Simon's farce titled Rumors. It takes place in an upscale home, or what will be an upscale home once we get it finished, of Charlie and Myra Brock in Sneeden's Landing, 45 minutes outside of New York. When our play begins here, there is a party that has been planned. A few friends begin arriving, and the only issue is that there's no help, there's no food, nothing is laid out, there's no one to make the drinks, and Charlie and Myra are missing. What could possibly have gone wrong? Neil Simon, of course, is the author of this play. We've done two of his plays in the past 3 years, Laughter on the 23rd Floor and Lost in Yonkers, and found him to be wonderfully satisfying to our audience, a playwright of depth, a playwright of deep wit, and certainly an American icon. Neil Simon, when he wrote this play, was going through a very difficult time in his own life, a series of depressions. His daughter's husband had recently been killed in an automobile accident. And he had always said that writing for him was cathartic and that he felt it would be very helpful to him if he got involved in a comedy. And the result of that was this play, Rumors, a high-speed, high-octane thrill ride of a play that will leave you breathless with laughter. Please join me now as we take a deeper look into what it takes to put a play like Rumors on the stage, get it up on its feet, and to keep it from falling down the stairs.
Growing up in New York in the 60s and 70s meant a Yankee game in the Bronx, a sandwich from Horn and Hardart, and a Neil Simon play on Broadway. Over the course of more than 2 decades, no one painted more unforgettable characters or brought more joy to audiences than Neil Simon.
Officer! We just got married!
Did you miss me today?
No.
Thank you, Mr. Dooley. Next time you're in New York, just call me up.
Stop that, will you? What are you doing?
I'm trying to clear up my ears. You create a pressure inside your head, it opens up the eustachian tube.
Don't yell at me, Louie!
I'm not yelling at you, Bella! I'm asking you a question. Who does that leave to put up the $5,000?
It's so terrible, Mama. Please tell him.
Who does that leave, Bella?
I would get the money somewhere, Louie.
Where is somewhere? Bella, there is no somewhere. You want Mama to sell the store. Is that what this guy is asking you to do?
No, he didn't ask me anything.
Well, either this guy is very, very smart or he's very dangerous. And he don't sound very smart to me, so that only leaves dangerous.
He is not dangerous.
How do you know that?
They don't take you at the home if you're dangerous.
Oh, my God.
Where are you from, Jerome? 1427 Pulaski Avenue. I've been in this army for 12 years, and I never met one damn dog face who came from 1427 Pulaski Avenue. Now, why is that, Jerome? Because it's my home. Only my family lives there.
Oscar winners, Emmy winners, Tony winners. It seems a good actor just can't lose when they've got a part in a Simon play. And for some, it would mark the beginning of a great career.
Neil Simon cast me in my very first Broadway show. It was Brighton Beach Memoirs. Thank you. I read for the part 4 or 5, maybe 6 times, and I did get the part somehow, and gave me the happiest, most fulfilling start to a career any actor could hope for.
Of all the indelible characters and unforgettable stories Neil Simon has brought us, few have brought audiences to laughter and tears quite like the story of Eugene Morris Jerome.
I hate my name. Eugene Morris Jerome. How am I ever going to play for the Yankees with a name like that?
In Brighton Beach Memoirs, we discover just how funny and loving family could be and what growing up was all about. All through the eyes of 14-year-old Eugene.
All the best Yankees are Italian. My mother makes spaghetti with ketchup. What chance do I have?
In Broadway Bound, we revisited the Jerome household a decade later, only to discover that no matter how much the world may change, family is forever.
And when they saw the Statue of Liberty, they started to cry. The women were wailing, the men were shaking, everybody praying. You know why? Because they took one look at that statue and said, "That's not a Jewish woman. We're going to have problems again."
To these two remarkable plays, theatergoers around the world came to discover that the magic of Neil Simon isn't merely the wonderful words he writes, it's the unforgettable truths he reveals.
He created his own style of comedy, plays that have made us scream with laughter or cry at the recognition of something in our own lives, plays that will live forever.
In 150 years, very few people will be remembered from this time. But we will all know Neil. We will all know his take on the world because he gets us right.
Neil, you have taken the stuff of life, marriage, divorce, love, death, and written about it so hilariously that it took years for anyone to notice that you captured an entire time in 20th century American life. Thank you, Neil, for a lifetime of wonderful, wonderful art given to the world through the fine point of your pen.
A farce is a very light, humorous, comedic play whose plot depends upon a stylized device that is the central motivating source of the play rather than deeper character development that happens more in pure comedy. Farce very often has slapstick elements to it and is played at an extremely high pace. At its base, it's not different. I am still looking for human beings. I'm looking for real people who are doing real things. It's just that the things they end up doing become absurd because of their exaggeration, because of the particular kind of situation that they are in. But they are always, always rooted in truth and being real human beings. Otherwise, it becomes a little more than a circus and becomes not very entertaining quickly. Whereas, in looking at it from this point of view, you find human beings on the stage, you find you can relate to them. I always feel that if you're doing a farce and you can't see your brother up on the stage, then you've missed the point as a director. So that I hope that all of these folks that are on the stage are easily recognizable to us, we can relate to them, and we certainly laugh at their ridiculous situations that they get themselves into. The casting of a farce is one of the most crucial elements. The actors have to have tremendous verbal skills to be able to say lines lightning fast but never appear that they're rushing, to have excellent comedic timing, to look marvelous on the stage, and to have that sense of fun and impishness within them as actors that really comes to bear in a play like this. They have to have enormous stamina because you cannot let down the pace in a farce. There's one character in this play that I believe runs up and down that staircase over 22 times during the play. So you have to be in good physical shape. In order to do it well, you've got to be able to project a character immediately when you step onto the stage, and you've got to have a great sense of comic timing and clear, crisp diction. Well, the challenges of the production are to get 8 actors who are well orchestrated, none of whom appear to be at all like any of the others, so that you have a kind of chamber group of 8 actors that are able to bring 8 separate colors and characters to the stage as quickly and cleanly and clearly as possible. I auditioned many people that I've known before, but wasn't altogether sure that this was their cup of tea. And in many cases, it turned out that they were far better at it than I thought that they could be. And so I've put together a cast, I think, that will at all moments be exquisitely entertaining and delightful to spend 2 hours in the theater with. It's meant to have a great time. It's meant to be tremendous fun. It's meant to laugh out loud and watch the virtuosity of the actors, how cleanly they do things, how their lines are delivered crisply and cleanly, how they hit every joke, how their timing is. It's a revelation to watch it when you realize that what they are doing at all times is maintaining themselves as human beings. I think you'll enjoy it very much. Have a great day in the theater.
I don't worry about making it my own too much. I worry more about serving the play and whatever the play needs, and working from there. I don't really think I have a particular aesthetic for myself. I think I try to feel what the playwright's intentions were and find an aesthetic that suits that. We made a lot of decisions. For example, with the floor, we chose a carpet downstage. For one reason, the actors spend a lot of time on the floor, so it's easier for them. But also, if it was a surface that was easily scuffed, we would see it pretty quickly, especially given the kinds of shoes that the actors would be wearing. You'll also see a carpet runner up the stairs and color choices that are good at hiding sort of damage. Also, this set had to be built almost like an actual house. If you go backstage, you can feel how solid it is. It's really solid, really well built. I mean, I would say the thing to look for on this set, and as a designer, one thing that's really hard is postmodernism, meaning, design between the modern era, like the late 50s, up until now, because it takes from the old and makes it feel new. So you might see something familiar in this set because we are still living in a very postmodern world. This is, I think, my 4th show with Keith, so he and I have been able to develop a good shorthand, and we can have a meeting and get the ball rolling and go from there. I mean, in a strange way, I think for Rumors, the process had more to do with research and really sort of honing in on what this era of the late 80s, early 90s is, and then driving that home. My favorite part of the set is the art that we've hung and chosen to hang on the walls. I think it really helps put us in a specific period. The challenge of the Bristol space is mostly that it's a converted space. So it wasn't originally designed as a theater. It had a life previous and is now a live theater for live performance. And that does come with challenges. There's not a fly space. There's not a whole lot of offstage space, especially if you want to do a musical or a large musical. But it also has some really great great things about it as well. It feels intimate while also being, a 300-seat theater. So I think it's a good space overall.
So the look for this particular show, we wanted to go high end. Everyone's in evening gowns. So the way I wanted to achieve the look was to go more with the colors and the silhouettes. So it still was somewhat shoulder pads, but everything was starting to become a little more tailored and not quite as boxy. Quite a bit of drama in the look of a couple of the dresses. Women have a lot of money, so they should look expensive. And for instance, the shoes, the heel height was a little smaller than what people usually would wear now. Basic pump. Shoes would match, usually the color of the shoe would either match the dress or match the handbag. And then jewelry, a lot of gold jewelry. Women were wearing a lot of gold jewelry at that point. For the men, it's double-breasted tuxedos were quite fashionable then. Cummerbunds, for instance, this character, which is Cassie, her husband has a cummerbund and bow tie that match the dress. So that was quite a fashionable thing to do back then as well. So it's kind of trying to create just so that people know that it's not set right now, but not going too overboard in the 80s feel. Like I say, the shoes tend to give away the period, the jewelry, the handbags. On the men, not always noticeable, but cufflinks that match the tie. A couple of the men are wearing imitation Rolex, that type of watch. I think you get a glimpse of that at some point. And socks, even socks. One of the guys has the Argyle socks on as well. So these are just little details that put together, I think, create that feel for that period. The people going to the party have a lot of money, and we wanted to reflect that in what they're wearing. We decided early on that it was a black tie affair, so that the women would be in formal, full-length dresses. We also felt that was quite funny to see people running around in a farce in very formal outfits. So that was something that was decided early on. And then as far as the people that, that they're well off, that comes across, I think, in the fabric of the dresses. To me, nothing looks cheap. Everything looks very expensive. Everything's tailored and fitted and has a slight couture feel to it. So I think that definitely comes across. And the men's suits look tailored and not, they're expensive looking. There's a lot of movement in the show and a lot of up and down stairs and doors and in and out of. While staying true to what the show should look like, especially with the footwear, it was important to make sure that all the shoes had rubber soles on them, and if not, I had to have them rubberized. With a certain shoe for one of the ladies, make sure it was a T-strap because she's going up and down the stairs, so that her foot wasn't in danger of falling out of the shoe at any time. They all just needed to feel secure in what they were wearing, and especially the footwear, but also without losing the look that I wanted for the show. One of the ladies has a train on her dress, and in the fitting, I said, we can take the train off if you like. And she said no, because it looks so great. And she really just works with it and included it in her character's movement. And it looks so great. And I'm so glad she did, because it really added to the look of the dress. And she looks so great in it. So there will be wear and tear, but thank you, set designer Jason put carpet on the floor. So I love him for that, because the men and women are down on the floor quite often, and carpet does not put as much wear and tear on the clothes as just a painted floor, especially with the men being in black in the tuxedos. Quite often on a painted floor, it can get quite dusty, or sometimes just the paint can smudge onto the costumes, even if it's dry, it just does happen that way. It gets dusty, and that's pretty tricky, and it's hard to get out. So I'm glad that we have carpet on the set, because it definitely helps. But we have to keep an eye on them, you know. There's definitely going to be room for things to get torn or, you know, ripped. So we just have to keep our eye on that, and everything has to get very steamed every night before the show, because there's so much movement, everything gets very creased. Unfortunately, I don't have multiples of the costumes, because each piece is either vintage or kind of one of a kind as far as me finding it. So unfortunately, I don't have duplicates. We would be able to perhaps replace the tuxedo pants if anything happens to those. But again, it's very hard with black to get a good match with if you replace a pair of pants in a suit that was already together. It's tricky, but fingers crossed. Hopefully we won't have to. This show is set in May, so we knew that. It's also mentioned in the script that let's go outside, it's a nice evening. So that meant to me that I could do sleeveless, and, you know, we didn't have to add the coats as another layer for when they're coming in, or hats or any of that. So that was good, because that always adds a lot more business for the actor and for us to find the right looking coat and hat, and, you know. So we're always a little relieved when it's in the spring or summer, or, you know, even in the fall. The dresser, who also runs wardrobe, her name is Naji, and what she does is she maintains all the costumes. Once the show's designed, it's sort of handed over to her to maintain the show, make sure all the laundry gets done, everything gets pressed and steamed before the show. If there's wigs, she maintains those. And then during the show, if there are any quick changes or any presets of costumes or handoffs, that's her job. It's also her job to help any of the actors in the dressing room if they need help with jewelry or zips or any of that. Anything costume that the actors need help with is down to the dresser. And she's awesome, and I'm very happy that she's here. I think my favorite costume has to be Cookie's, because we kind of went to town with her a little bit, and it's just different from everybody else up there. I kind of love everything, to be honest. I really do. I like that every dress is different, every tux is different, there's different details to everything. But if I had to pick, I think Cookie, just because she's so fun, and her costume is very 20s inspired. There's a lot of fringe. It's very fun, and so yeah, she looks great, I think.
Calkins Media, not your traditional newspaper company. Utilizing the power of 6 daily and 2 weekly newspapers plus 3 ABC TV affiliates reaching 3.4 million people each week.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Carol Erickson with your 8 a.m. Courier Times news break. Here's what you need to know as you head out the door this morning.
Hyper local news. The most resources of any news organization, including broadcast. Hyper local programming, including sports. Not a sports fan? No problem. Almost everyone likes to eat and save money. But there's more. Already using our impressive resources to serve our customers and our partners, we're growing our product and want our partners to grow their customer base as well. Calkins Media, not your traditional newspaper company.